You're listening to the Otis Jiry channel.
Chapter 15 Die Haunebu Glocke. With the summer months coming to a close, the professor and Rose spent many hours together, mainly in the privacy of her cottage. Even though the villagers knew of their friendship, it would have been difficult to conduct at his shared room at the Witch's Brew. One such autumnal day, when the professor was visiting Rose, there was a knock at the door just after midday. Rose answered the door to a very attractive young woman, whose long blonde hair was tied back into a ponytail. She asked if she could speak with him about an urgent matter. Rose sat her down in an armchair by the window and called upstairs for the professor. Once downstairs, he was concerned to see this unusual young woman, apparently in a state of agitation. After the professor had introduced himself and Rose, she began her story. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I need to talk. I know about your work at the Abbey, and I need to tell you both what's going on because I'm afraid for my life." "Where have you come from, and where do you live?" asked the professor, in a calm, gentle voice. "I have lived at the Abbey for 8 years now. I've come from Germany," she explained in her distinct German accent. "You must be the young lady occasionally spotted on the grounds. I have to get out from time to time, away from the abbot." "Don't worry, we know who the abbot really is. What is your name?" "Impossible! How do you know?" "My name is Maria Orsich. So you know about Hans?" "I've been aware of this SS officer, yes. So both of you escaped from Germany in 1945 and brought the rings with you. I am astonished you know this." "Detective work. So you're afraid of being found out, obviously. And what about Mr. Gamler?" "He's as crazy as Himmler and believes he'll be saved by supernatural forces embodied in Vril." "Vril? What's Vril?" asked Rose. "We believe it's a universal force which can be tapped into for good or evil and can be used in all manner of different ways. The miasma emanating from the chamber below the mausoleum is Vril, and the chamber itself is the template for part of Himmler's castle tower crypt. The width of the chamber here is exactly the same as the inner circle in Wewesselberg Castle North Tower crypt. Hans was working on Hitler's secret propulsion projects for discs, or flying saucers, as you call them," explained Maria. "But they're not real," commented the professor. "Oh, but they are," Maria insisted indignantly. "They are very real. That's how we escaped without being detected. Hans piloted the Haunebu disc and then dumped it off into the sea just off the coast here." She turned, pointing to the cliffs. "My God! So that's what they've discovered, a flying saucer," realized the professor with a look of utter disbelief upon his face. "We've known that the Abbey was built on an ancient site for satanic worship called Grimsfell, a place to conjure Vril from the underworld of the Dark Sun, and that here is the rightful place for us Aryan people. Oros Mountain resembles Mount Elbrus, the ancient Aryan Twin Peak Mountains in Russia. The ritual chamber was hewn out at the bottom of a well over the river tunnel in the old days to reach the Vril portal, and was concealed by the building which eventually became the Abbey Mausoleum. The Abbey itself was built much later as a convincing cover, but the monks didn't know that, just the ones affected by the power of Vril. Another Vril chamber was later built between the river tunnel and the Abbey crypt, dedicated to the Lords of the Black Stone, die Herren vom Schwarzenstein. Also, pure Vril is believed to be extracted by witches at the moment of a young child's death, their new life energy, but I don't know if this is true or not." "Maria," interrupted the professor, This is both fascinating and fantastical, but why have you chosen to tell us all this? I feel guilty. Guilt because I found out about the power of Vril and how to make flying disc machines through being a medium, a channel to another place of people far, far away. Many years later, Rudolf Hess was with me in Munich when I again received information in a strange language by automatic writing. It turned out to be Sumerian, and my friend was able to decipher it. Hess tried to reach Sacred Grimsfell too, but I understand he became lost when he was low on fuel looking for somewhere to land and crashed his plane. He had convinced Hitler it was a peace mission to try and end the war by meeting Churchill through the Golden Dawn in Scotland. It's all my fault, you see. My fault that these people attempted to use the power of Vril to defeat our enemies, an unstoppable power in its many forms. I escaped with Hans, and we became lovers, but once here he seemed overwhelmed by the fact that he was at the magic place which Himmler had believed in. He was compelled to carry on the work after Himmler's suicide. Hitler's burned body was faked with one of his doubles, and he may still be alive, possibly in Argentina, to join with Hans again, now without Hess, to create their dream of the Fourth Reich. "This is the truth, then?" asks the professor. "What you are telling us is the truth? All this supernatural stuff sounds just too much to be believed, except I know through my own experience that it does seem to exist outside of our heads, to have a real effect in the real world. I can't go back to the Abbey. I'm afraid of Hans. Can you help me? I will tell you more about the Glocke, the bell." "What bell is this, Maria?" Rose asks with a frown. "It is an extremely large, bell-shaped, very high-speed centrifugal machine which forms the central hub of the newest flying discs. It was being tested when the war ended. The disc and crew canopy above was later attached to the bell and named the Haunebu Glocke. There's one over there." She glanced toward the coast. "Our escape turned out to be another test flight, in the dimensions of both space and time. I believe the other Glocke hubs and plans were destroyed to prevent them from falling into foreign hands." "What are we going to do with you, Maria?" sighed the professor. "Another thing that greatly concerns me is that I haven't aged since contacting the Aldebarans. I fear I am immortal. I don't want to live forever. I'm 58 years old now and born on Halloween. That's another reason why both Himmler and Hess embraced the Vril as an absolute truth. The Vril miasma can escape from the underworld when the membrane separating it from the world above is at its thinnest on this date, especially in this special place. Demons are real and rupture the membrane, accompanied by a terrible low-frequency humming vibration, which pulsates energetically, and it is this noise energy that breaks through the barrier into our world, created by the summoned demon. This satanic entity is the demonic manifestation of Vril itself. The other form is angelic. Vril, this volatile electric fluid, is polarized, malevolent and benevolent, the former attracted to those of evil intent, and the latter for good. I'm very afraid that if Hitler is still alive and returns and Hess escapes, they and Hans will find me and make me pay for what I have told you." "Why do you affectionately refer to Kammler as Hans, Maria?" asked Rose. "Because, as I said, we were once close, and I just always refer to him as Hans. I hate and fear the man, really." "How did Kammler disguise his German accent?" asked the professor. "By many years of obsessional training. He felt it essential if he needed to escape here to Britain. Well, he did a damn good job of it, I must say. Is that thing in the sea radioactive?" "Only inside the sealed bell where the thorium and red mercury is held, but it has massively thick ceramic and iron walls, and is designed to be as safe as possible. Except it wasn't safe. Too many people died beside it during testing, and more Wissenschaftler perished later, murdered to protect the secret knowledge from the enemy. The bell was built to produce fissionable uranium-233 for a nuclear bomb, but it was discovered that the great speed of the spinning twin-cylinder centrifuge generated its own independent space-time field together with the very high-voltage magnetic field. So it was incorporated into the disk craft, the Haunebu, for experiments as a space and time travel vehicle. Maria explained the design and position of 3 other dome drive components hanging beneath the craft, doubling as a landing tripod. There is one other last secret, but I can't tell you that. Intriguing, Maria. Perhaps one day? Perhaps. Maria, how do you know all these technical scientific terms about centrifuges and flying saucers? Asked Rose. Hans would speak of little else. He is obsessionable about it. Well, you'll have to stay here with me for the time being, at least until we know where we all stand after your birthday, because that's when we plan to kill the Corvids, the Bennett Corvids, who summoned the demon to perpetuate their annual production of the evil miasma, the vril, as you call it. We will end their eternal pursuit of revenge once and for all during those brief, precious minutes when they become mortal. Thank you, Rose. What can I do to help with your mission to try and end all this evil? Keep the home fires burning on the day, Maria.